My fiancé said, "Your bachelorette party is a 2-week trip to Europe with your ex. Don't be so controlling." I said, "Have a safe flight." Then I ditched the wedding venue, used the down payment to design the details, and made her feel at home at the airport when she landed. I am 32 years old and proposed to Natasha, 29 years old. 8 months ago. That sentence replayed in my head all night. I kept staring at the ceiling, wondering when exactly the line between modern relationship and plain stupidity had blurred. Natasha wasn't always like this, or maybe she was, and I just didn't want to see it. When I proposed to her last December, under the lights of Rockefeller Center, she cried so hard I thought I'd done something wrong. She said yes between sobs, kissed me like I'd given her the world, and for months, I really believed she loved me. We'd been together for 3 years solid, steady, comfortable. She worked in marketing, loved brunches, Pilates, and pretending she hated reality TV when she absolutely didn't. I was the quiet one, the planner. Together, we balanced each other, or so I thought. The wedding was set for late October. Venue booked, deposits paid, photographer secured. I handled most of it because she said planning stressed her out. "I'm just not detail-oriented, babe," she'd say, curling up beside me on the couch while I compared catering menus. "You're so good at this stuff." I didn't realize then that not detail-oriented meant you pay, I decide. 3 weeks before the wedding, we were having dinner at this small fusion restaurant downtown. I remember the soft jazz in the background, the smell of garlic and wine. The way she smiled, like she'd been keeping a secret. "So," she said, slicing into her seared salmon, "I've been thinking about my bachelorette." I didn't look up right away. "Vegas with the girls." She chuckled. "That's what I thought too. But Vanessa came up with something better, something meaningful." I paused. "Meaningful?" "Yeah, a trip. 2 weeks in Europe. Just me, Vanessa, and a few friends." I finally looked at her. 2 weeks. Europe, that's kind of close to the wedding, don't you think? "It'll be fine," she said lightly, taking a sip of her wine. "We'd leave in 10 days and be back with 2 weeks to spare." "Who's going?" That's when she hesitated. A tiny pause, but my gut felt it before my brain did. "Me, Vanessa, Kelsey, and Devin." I blinked. "Devin?" She nodded, acting casual. "Yeah, he's in our friend group, remember?" "You mean Devin, your ex-boyfriend, Devin? The one you dated for 2 years? The one whose posts you still like on Instagram?" She set her fork down, exhaled sharply. "Oh my God, Ethan, don't start. It's not a big deal. We're adults. How is this not a big deal?" I said, "Because we're friends. He's been in the group for years. It would be weird not to invite him." I laughed, short and cold. "You want to take a 2-week vacation across Europe with your ex, right before our wedding, and I'm supposed to smile and wave from the airport?" She rolled her eyes. "This is exactly why I waited to tell you. You always overreact. You need to get over this insecurity thing." "Insecurity?" "Yeah," she said, crossing her arms. "It's not attractive, Ethan. I'm marrying you. Isn't that enough?" We went in circles for almost an hour. Every time I voiced a concern, she twisted it into a character flaw. "You're controlling. You don't trust me. You're threatened by my independence." By the end, I wasn't angry, was numb. Finally, I said quietly, "You know what? Fine, do whatever you want." Her expression softened instantly. "Really?" "Yeah," I said. "Have a safe flight." She leaned over, kissed my cheek. "This is why I love you, babe. You get it." I smiled back, but inside, something broke. That night, I didn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the engagement ring sitting on her nightstand, catching glints of city light through the blinds, and realized I couldn't unsee what I'd seen. The next morning, I called the wedding venue. The coordinator, a middle-aged woman named Janet, sounded sympathetic but firm. "Non-refundable deposit of $8,500, she said. "Unless you can prove extraordinary circumstances." "What counts as extraordinary?" I asked, Death in the family, serious illness, military deployment. I paused. What about a fiancée taking a 2-week trip to Europe with her ex-boyfriend as her bachelorette party? There was a silence, then a quiet chuckle. Sir, she said softly, I'll mark it as an exception. You'll get your refund within 5 business days. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in days. That same morning, I called my best friend Trevor, who happened to be a lawyer. I need a private investigator, I told him. He whistled. That bad? She's going to Europe with her ex, I said flatly. I need to know what's really going on. Trevor sighed. All right. I know a guy. But Ethan, this is nuclear. Then light the match, I said. 2 days later, I met Dominic Shaw, a former investigator who now did private freelance work. We met at a coffee shop near Midtown. He was calm, professional, no judgment in his eyes. I can't follow them to Europe personally, he said, but I've got contacts who can. Social media tracking, digital surveillance, background checks. It won't be cheap. How much? For 2 weeks, somewhere between 8 and 12 grand, depending on what we find. The venue refund will cover it, I said. Do it. He nodded, handed me a card, and that was that. Over the next week, Natasha was practically glowing, packing, FaceTiming Vanessa, shopping for cute travel outfits. Every night, she'd hum in the kitchen, glass of rose in hand, acting like this was just another pre-wedding errand. You're being so supportive, she told me one night, wrapping her arms around my waist. I knew you'd come around. I smiled. Just want you to have fun. She kissed me softly. This trip is going to make me feel so refreshed before the wedding. I can't wait to come back and marry you. That part almost made me laugh. The morning of her flight, I drove her to the airport. She kissed me goodbye, told me she loved me. Promised to text when she landed. I watched her walk through security. That confident stride of someone who thought they had everything under control. When her plane finally took off, I sat in the parking lot for a long minute, hands gripping the steering wheel. Then I pulled out my phone and called Trevor. Hey, I said. It's done. She's gone. You sure you want to do this? He asked. I looked out the windshield, watching the clouds swallow the last trace of her flight. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. The first few days were quiet. Natasha texted me like everything was normal. Landed safely, she wrote. Devon says hi. Don't be jealous. I stared at that text for a long moment, then locked my phone. Dominic, the investigator, had already set up his system monitoring check-ins, tags, stories, and anything public from her circle. He told me to be patient. The first few days, they're careful, he said. Then they forget. He was right by day 4. The first photos started to surface. A group shot in Paris, wine glasses raised, city lights behind them. Everyone, smiling, including Devon, his arm a little too close to Natasha's shoulder. I didn't react. I just forwarded the image to Dominic. He replied minutes later, cross-referencing hotel tags. They're all checked in at Le Marceau Bastille, 4 stars. 2 rooms booked under group name, N. Porter. 2 rooms, I asked. Yeah, but the receipts I can access show 3 people staying in one of them. Guess who? I felt my pulse spike. Natasha and Devon. And Vanessa, he said. Officially? But the front desk cameras show Vanessa spending most nights out with another guy. So technically, it's a shared room for 2. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the wall. It was one of those moments where you already know the answer, but your brain still tries to deny it. Keep watching, I told him. By day 6, I stopped checking her messages. She sent updates like she was doing charity work, wine tasting in Bordeaux. You'd love it here. Devon found this little jazz bar such good vibes. Miss you. Baby, miss you. She wrote that from a candlelit rooftop restaurant with her ex sitting across from her that night. Dominic called again. She's holding hands with him now, he said. Casual, public, no hesitation. My contact got it on video. Send it, I said quietly. He did, and there it was, Natasha, laughing, glass of champagne in hand, her fingers interlocked, with Devon's across the table like they were the ones about to get married. I didn't get angry. I didn't even cry. Something colder took over, something methodical. Keep everything, I told Dominic. Every picture, every receipt, every timestamp. He hesitated. You thinking divorce? I laughed once. No, I'm thinking performance art. A week later, she texted, I can't wait to see you when I land. I've missed you so much, babe. This trip was exactly what I needed before the wedding. I replied, glad you had fun. Can't wait to make you feel at home when you get back. And I meant it, because while she was off sipping champagne and holding hands with her ex in Europe, I was redesigning the wedding venue, except now, it wasn't a wedding anymore. I called the same planner who'd helped with our original setup, Janet. I need to make a few changes, I said. Theme? She asked. Airport lounge, I said. Arrival gates. Flight boards. You'll see why. She didn't ask questions. I paid her double. When Natasha's flight finally landed 2 weeks later, she texted me the moment she cleared customs. Touchdown. Can't wait to see you. I was already at the terminal, standing near the arrivals area where friends and families waited with flowers and balloons. She came out wheeling her suitcase, hair perfect, eyes bright. When she saw me, she smiled like nothing had happened. There's my she said, running up to hug me. I hugged her backhand. That's when she noticed the camera crew behind me. What's this? She laughed nervously. Just capturing a moment, I said. You'll love it. Behind her, the screen above the gate flickered an LED display I'd rented and customized. It played a slideshow, photos of Natasha and Devon. Paris, Bordeaux, rooftop dinner. The hotel hallway, time-stamped, location tagged. Every one of them authenticated by Dominic. Her smile froze. People started noticing, phones came out. Whispers spread. She turned to me, pale. Ethan, what is this? I looked her in the eye. Welcome home, Natasha. Then I handed her an envelope. Inside, copies of the photos, her flight itinerary, hotel receipts, and a short note. You said not to be controlling. I'm not. I'm just letting you go. She started shaking. You set this up? I nodded. Consider it my version of closure. She looked around the small crowd, staring, murmuring. Devon wasn't there, but his name was everywhere on those photos. Natasha's voice cracked. How could you humiliate me like this? I tilted my head. Funny question coming from someone who spent her engagement sleeping in hotel beds with her ex. She tried to speak, but nothing came out. Finally, she turned and bolted for the exit. Dragging her suitcase behind her, I didn't follow. Later that night, I sent Dominic his final payment and archived everything. Then I called Trevor. It's done, I said. He was quiet for a while. How do you feel? I thought about it. Empty, but free. He sighed. You know, you could have just broken up with her quietly. Yeah, I said. But she wanted something memorable. I gave her that. The video of that airport scene spread faster than I expected. Someone had filmed the whole thing from Natasha walking out, to her face when the photos appeared on the screen, to the way she stormed off by the next morning. It was everywhere. TIK, TOK, Reddit. Even some gossip page captioned it. Guy exposes cheating fiancé at airport after her Europe trip. The comments were brutal. Bros, the main character. She played stupid games. Won stupid prizes. That man deserves peace and a vacation. For once, I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt numb. Natasha tried to reach me the next day. 32 missed calls. 11 voice messages. Each one more desperate than the last. Ethan, please. You didn't have to do that publicly. You don't understand. It wasn't what it looked like. He kissed me once. Okay. It meant nothing. Please, can we talk? I didn't reply. I'd said everything I needed to at the airport. 2 days later, Devon finally texted me. Yeah, him. His message was short. You didn't have to drag me into it, man. I stared at it for a second, then typed back, you dragged yourself in when you checked into a shared hotel room. He never replied. A week later, his Instagram went private. Natasha's account disappeared altogether. I thought that would be the end of it. But life has a weird sense of humor. Her mother called me 3 days after the story broke. Ethan, she said softly, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, I told her. I just wish things had been different. She's devastated, her mum whispered. She knows she made a mistake. She hasn't left her apartment in days. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost, Mrs. Porter, I said gently. I loved your daughter. But the woman I loved doesn't exist anymore. There was silence on the other end. Then she said, I hope you find peace. I already have, I said, and hung up. 2 weeks later, the wedding date came and went. Instead of standing at an altar, I sat on my balcony with a glass of whiskey, watching the city lights blink like nothing had ever happened. Trevor stopped by, dropped a box on my table. What's this? I asked. He smirked. What's left of the wedding stuff? Invitations, registry papers, all that. I laughed quietly. Burn it. He grinned. Already did. Just thought you'd want to see the ashes. We sat there for a while. No words, just the hum of the city below. After a few minutes, he said, you know, you could turn this into a movie. I smiled faintly. Too unbelievable for Hollywood. A month later, I got a postcard. No return address, just a simple message. I'm sorry. I really did love you. And I turned it over. A photo of the Eiffel Tower. I didn't feel anger. Not even sadness. Just a dull, distant ache, like remembering a dream that used to mean something. I tore the postcard in half, dropped it in the trash, and closed the window. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how I handled it. If I could go back, would I do it differently? The truth is, maybe I didn't need to humiliate her. Maybe I could have just walked away quietly. Saved us both the spectacle. But when someone betrays you that deeply, silence feels like forgiveness. And she didn't deserve forgiveness. Not yet. What she deserved was the truth. And I gave it to her now. Months later, I sleep better. No lies. No pretending. Just peace. I'm not proud of everything I did, but I'm proud that I finally chose myself. Because love without respect isn't love. And the moment she boarded that flight, I knew she'd already left me behind.